Joe Roets. I'm CEO of MarcoPoloLoco.
Today.
MarcoPoloLoco is a time-space messaging app for Android and iPhone that lets a user send a message to a place at a time in the past, present, or future. You can basically send a message, default, you can send a message to now, like say to the office, for the next 4 hours. So anybody who's at the office for 4 hours, or in the next 4 hours, will get that message. You can also send it to, like say downtown Morgantown, because you're going to be doing lunch on Friday, in the future. So that whoever happens to be there would get the message, say, oh, I need to go to lunch too. So you can also send a message to the past. So you can send a message to the party last Friday night, and basically catch everyone that was at the party at that time. Like say if it was at a conference, you might have known a few of the people there, but a couple of people you didn't get business cards for. You send it back to that time at that place. Only the people that were there get it, so you're not spamming the rest of the world asking who somebody was. You're actually hitting someone who was there, who would have seen the same person. Like, oh, that is so and so, or whatever else, or that person might get it themselves. So it's kind of an odd pattern, right? But we're trying to reduce the spam. With you don't see when your friend has done something across the country. Who cares about that? It's all about where you're at, and we're also trying to retain the privacy, so that unlike most of the other location-based social media apps are usually check-in based, so that you're basically saying, I'm here, so the entire world knows where you are. That this is meant to be used in a way that you can message a coworker, a friend, or an employee based on where they're at, without knowing where they're at, and without them knowing where you're at. So that basically you could send a message anywhere and no one knows where you are. And when you get a message, no one knows that you got it. So there's a lot of privacy involved with it.
Does it work off of like the GPSs of the phones?
Where you're at, it does. It either uses your cell tower location, Wi-Fi, or GPS. We're pretty good about not killing the battery with it. The duration is configurable too. So like the default is 4 hours. You can set it to instant, so somebody who is there right at that time, versus I think up to 24-hour is what our limit right now is. It's a text messaging app with a blindfold on it, and it's it's Marco Polo. So it's the pool game. So it's a Marco with I'm blindfolded. I don't know where you're at. I'm saying Marco, you're poloing back. That's the whole point of it. That I don't have to know where you are, and you don't even have to answer, right? So.
Right. So what made you come up with an app like this, or even think about this concept?
I had a meeting, and this was, I don't know how long ago. I had a meeting first thing in the morning at the office here, and at the time we had multiple people in and out of the main conference room, so I didn't know if it was clean. I didn't know if everything was up and ready for the meeting. And I was running late, and when I first thought about it, I didn't want to spam everyone who could be there, because a bunch of them wouldn't be, and some of them might actually leave billable work to come up and figure something out, which isn't what the intent was, and I didn't want to spam everyone. So that was the first thing. Is like, I need to be able to send a message to the office, not to the people who might be at the office, and that's what it came from. So,
my name is Ricky Hussman, and I'm a software engineer on the iPhone team here at Create 10.
I'm John Bonazza, and I am an Android developer here at the Create 10 MarcoPoloLoco team.
What kind of differences between the iPhone and the Android did you have?
The UI programming was a lot different. iPhone obviously has a lot of limitations on what we can and cannot do. So does Android, but the limitations are different depending on the device. We tried very hard to nitpick those limitations and provide workarounds for each of them so that the UI and the feel of the application was as consistent between the two devices as possible.
So the Android client was actually the first client that was produced here, and the iPhone client is kind of, we're trying to reach parity with the Android clients. We're actually a little behind in terms of features and support. And like John said, there's some differences in the platform that make it, from an engineering perspective, challenging. But you know, ultimately we're hoping to achieve parity between the two, so that the user experience will feel native for the two devices. So it might not be pixel perfect between the two, but it'll feel like an iPhone app and it'll feel like an Android app, but it'll still be MarcoPoloLoco. One of the very interesting things about MarcoPoloLoco is that it's about where you want to be or where you're interested. So a lot of, like was mentioned before, a lot of social services are kind of focused on where you are or where your friends are, and having an understanding of that. But MarcoPoloLoco is different, and I don't really know that it's been addressed before. It's more about where you're interested in, and you know, that doesn't necessarily have to be where you are. And in fact, in the most interesting cases, it's not where you are at all. It's some other location. So I want to know what the lunch crowd is going to be like, you know, at some restaurant that I like. I can send a message there, you know, from let's say 10 o'clock until 11:30, and say, hey, anybody that shows up, how's it looking down there? Or you know, what are the specials today? And I can get information about that, right? Or I've got a friend that's coming into the airport and I need to pick him up. I can send a message to the airport and say, hey, John, you know, let me know when you arrive so I can make sure that I'm getting on my way out there, or that if I'm waiting in the parking lot I can go in, right? So having a tie to your constant location is valuable, and it makes a lot of sense, and it's part of our identity, right? Online it's becoming more like that, but having an interest in location in general is also something that's been overlooked, and I think MarcoPoloLoco addresses that.
Is Alexi Leontopoulos. I was one of the early developers, one of the ones that helped guide the project to where we are now.
PM right now.
Yeah, I'm acting as the project manager right now. The interesting things about MarcoPoloLoco is the fact that it combines several different types of social media tools that are out there right now, and just a lot of traditional tools that have existed forever. So one of the first things that people would think of when they see this is that it's kind of like Twitter, it's kind of like Foursquare, it's kind of like Facebook, but it's also much more than that, because it's a way of broadcasting to a group of people that may not necessarily be in your social network. So to a location that you're interested in, but maybe have no physical connection to. So you can go out and find what is going on in this location to people that their ranges of interest could be all over the place. And that's one of the new aspects that we're adding in, is honing in on specific interests. For example, live music is one thing we've been talking about, the food in an area, the entertainment. All of these things that you may not have any connection to, but you have a desire to find out about, and you don't know who to talk to. So MarcoPoloLoco allows you to find out at a certain location, at a certain time, what's going on here, and what kind of fun can I have. And I know in this location that's really difficult, because you have to really be tied in to different groups. And if you're a busy person, or you don't get the newspaper, you don't watch TV that much, it's very difficult to find out, you know, what events are going on. There are a lot of festivals, especially in the summertime, going on here. And I personally never know that they're going on until I see what fun I could have had if I had known a little bit earlier. So this is also a way for those people that run these events to broadcast out to people that have MarcoPoloLoco, to advertise. It's a free way of advertising to a group of people that they don't know. So it's just a different way of thinking about things than people have thought of before.